Air travelers are being warned that things could get even worse at our airports as TSA calls out the call-outs. They're calling out sick. They're just not showing up. That's ramping up. And in the last month, at least 366 TSA officers have actually quit, raising security concerns, obviously, at airport checkpoints. And airports could even shut down, we're being told. Listen.
Staffing will definitely be an essential kind of component of that, but we incorporate a variety of other streams of information, including, threat, intelligence as well. But again, we're going to continue to make that determination on a case-by-case basis daily.
And joining me now is former DHS Secretary Jeh Johnson. I bet you're glad you're not the DHS Secretary now. This is a mess.
It's a mess.
How do we fix it?
Fund the Department of Homeland Security. That's my message to Democrats and Republicans in Congress. The most basic function of Congress is to keep the lights on and fund the government.
Yes.
We need to get out of the business of coupling policy disagreements in Congress with funding the government. And I was on the end of this 11 years ago when Republicans didn't want to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Eventually, we got our funding. We need to get out of this business. It's happening now more than annually. It's happening several times a year. And nobody speaks up for the federal workers. They are the political football in this. Well, we talked about TSA. Your average TSO lives paycheck to paycheck. And their job is aviation security. Their job is to look for bombs on the airplanes that you and your family are about to board.
Pretty important.
And it is not surprising to me that TSOs are resigning by the hundreds now, and the long lines and the possibility of airports closing. And let's not forget that we are now in a heightened threat environment because of the war against Iran. So if there was ever a time that we needed to fund the Department of Homeland Security, it's right now.
So we're seeing the long lines. FEMA's not getting funded. TSA, the Coast Guard, Secret Service is not being funded. Those are just a few of the agencies that are under DHS.
It's a variety of missions. It's not just immigration, which everybody thinks of. It's aviation security, maritime security, cyber security, port security, the Secret Service, FEMA, and a bunch of other components I can't think of right now.
Security. This is Homeland Security. What keeps you up at night? If you were the DHS Secretary at this time, what would keep you up at night?
We've gone to war against a state sponsor of terrorism.
Yes.
That includes a heightened threat environment here in the homeland. I don't need to read classified intelligence reports to know that that is almost certainly the case. And if I were secretary right now, I would be as transparent as possible with the American people about what the threat environment is, what their government is doing about it, and what the public can do. There is a role for the public in a heightened threat environment. If you see something, say something, does work. It has made a difference in the past. It can make a difference in the future.
All right, is there a compromise? Democrats and Republicans have to come together. We have to fund this. This is very serious.
Yes.
What can they do? Democrats don't want ICE to wear masks, but that protects them. They're getting doxxed. And they don't want ICE to be able to arrest someone without a warrant. So they want every single ICE agent who's about to arrest someone to go to a judge and get a warrant to go and arrest them.
Well, there are circumstances under which a judicial warrant is not necessary in a true emergency, in an exigency. But those disputes, those debates should take place alongside of funding the Department of Homeland Security as a whole, not just certain components, as a whole. You need all 22 components of Homeland Security functioning all at once, side by side. Congress can and should have the debate about whether officers should be wearing masks, but there are circumstances under which it's permissible, I suppose. There are circumstances under which a judicial warrant is not necessary if there's a threat to life or some other circumstance like that. Have that policy disagreement in some other context. Don't shut down the entire Department of Homeland Security because you can't agree on these substantive policy issues.
Thank you so much for coming on.
That's a bipartisan message, by the way.
It is a bipartisan message, and that's what we need right now, because whatever's happening in Washington amongst these lawmakers, it's affecting everyone around the country, and we're all worried, not only about, we don't want to wait in line for 4 hours at the airport, but more than that, we want to be safe and secure, and we want our children to be safe and secure.
Absolutely.
And that's the most important thing. Thank you so much.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.